Hello everyone, my name is Timothy Lee Grant, and today we are going to be continuing the project which we outlined here. So we are going to have two separate people, or two separate types of actions. We have producers and consumers, and the producers are able to add items to the inventory. The consumers take those away from inventory, and we need this API gateway to be able to talk to our different microservices. So trying to develop this out, I am only going to be focusing on this section right here so far. So this is going to be written in Java using Spring Boot, and then I haven't decided on what database platform to use here yet, but let's just open up this. So this is where we got to last time, which, so it has a whole bunch of red. It doesn't like this, but it runs. Okay, watch this. So Maven W, and then Spring Boot run. Okay. Comes here, bing, 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 and it starts. And then if I go to Safari and then do this API hello, so if I just refresh it, I get the thing there, and it says hello from Spring Boot. So it's working. But, so it doesn't like this, although it's correct. And it also has this as white, even though it's right there. And so it's obviously using it. And this one, this S right there is randomly green. These are randomly green. Like, it's not making much sense right now. So before I continue too much, I'm going to try to see a little bit of what's going on. Just try to diagnose this, and then we can move forward with the project. So this file seems to be working correctly because I am able to ping this API endpoint from my client, from my client web or browser. Okay, but the lines in VS Code are strange because is underlined as an error. Okay. This one is white and indicating that it is not used. Okay, and then this one the S in request is green. The ing in mapping is also green, while the other characters are blue. Okay, what might be going on? Do I need to do some kind of like clean or something like that? Configuration problem, not code itself. Java, clean Java, language server. So let's try that. Control Shift P, Command Shift P. Okay, and then we want to do this. Command Shift P, and paste that in there here. Are you sure you want to clean the Java language server? Ooh, this sounds dangerous. Load or reload and delete. Ooh, okay. Okay, okay. Yo! I think it worked. Okay, look at that, look at that. We have solid colors. Okay, okay, okay. Okay, cool. And let's just make sure that this works. Okay, run. And then we need to load it. Let's load it. Let's first load something wrong. Okay, hello Y. Got it wrong. Now we're gonna load the correct one. Yes! Okay. Okay, cool. So now what is our next step? So I got this microservice and I've set it up such that I can get an API endpoint. I can hit an API endpoint, okay? Well, now, I guess the next step in this big project is I need to be able to communicate with the database, okay? And I'm going to be storing items. So what kind of database do I want? I'm just gonna pick one right now, and for this project, I know that I need to do both SQL and NoSQL. So this one, if I choose an SQL here, it kind of forces my hand to be NoSQL there. Okay, so actually, let me go to Copilot and kind of see its idea. In my project, I want two databases. One must be SQL and the other must be NoSQL. One of my databases will keep track of the inventory, and the other database will keep track of users' login information. So username and password. Which do you suggest to be the SQL one, and which do you suggest to be the NoSQL? Okay. State your reason. Okay. Then also, if I did not give you the constraint of one needing to be the opposite of the other, which would you have chosen? Okay, because I want to understand more about like, okay, well, what is the process of actually choosing the database? Okay. Right, so SQL for user login information. All right, so it's telling me this one should be SQL. So I can do this one as the, what was it? Was it not MySQL, but it was, I forgot the name of it. Different database. And then for this one, I can do something like MongoDB. Okay, so that's what I'll do here is MongoDB. Postgres, that's what I was trying to think of. Postgres QL. Okay, so for this one, for this database, I want strong consistency for credentials, passwords, token, etc. And SQL database guarantee transactional integrity. So that's kind of an interesting thing. I don't know what that means. Transactional integrity. Before we go and continue on the project too much more, okay, what is this? Like, that's one of the cool things about doing these projects is you can just go and try to find out random stuff. And I had never heard of this before, and now I'm stumbling upon it. And it's like, okay, cool. What is it? Let's figure that out. Okay, structured schema. Login data is very structured. Username, password, maybe a salt and a hash. Okay, so this is like cryptography stuff. And a relational model suits that perfectly. Okay. So I'm curious, like, without the constraint, honestly, I'd probably choose SQL for both. Okay, especially early on for user login. All of that applies for inventory unless the product catalog is wildly diverse or changes structures. Okay, so what I'm getting from this is that if the items are going to have very different structures based off which item is I'm adding or something, then I would want something which is NoSQL. But because both of them are going to be fairly similar and stable, then both of them would probably want to be SQL. Except the entire point of this project here, the customer, like customer requirements for this project, the customer is the tech companies who are offering back-end software engineering roles. Okay, the customer has requirements of SQL and NoSQL. Okay, so this project requirement states that we need to use an SQL database and we need to use a NoSQL database. So we're constrained. So that's what we're gonna do. So let's, okay, so login information is going to be, this one's going to be SQL. So this one is gonna be MongoDB. Okay, so I just wanna ask, like, what is transactional integrity? Refers to the guarantee that a database transaction is processed reliably and keeps the database in a constant state, even if something goes wrong mid-operation. Okay, so it's like corrupting data, essentially. It's built in the ACID principles, which are the backbone of trustworthy database systems. So ACID is an acronym, autonomy. A transaction is all or nothing. Either the step completes successfully or none of it does. For example, transferring money between accounts must debit one and credit the other, or neither. So you can't have a debit, but then not the credit, which makes sense. Consistency. The data must move from one valid state to another. All rules, like the foreign keys and constraints, must be respected, okay? Isolation. Transactions run independently even if multiple users are interacting with the system at the same time. This prevents data corruption. Okay, durability. Once a transaction is committed, it's saved permanently, even if the system crashes right after. Okay, cool. Think of it like editing a shared Google Docs. You want your changes to be saved completely and not get mixed up with someone else's edits halfway through. Okay. All right, well, I will start to work on connecting my supply microservice in Java Spring Boot to a MongoDB. How can I do this? All right. So let's try to get that items database. All right. So starter data, MongoDB, starter web. I think we already have this one. We don't have that one. This brings MongoDB support and sets up your REST API foundation. Okay. So let's come, whoops, not there. Let's come here and go into our POM file. So I have this Spring Boot starter web, okay? And I want Spring Boot starter web, yeah. I want to add this one. Okay. Okay. Do I want to synchronize? Yes, I do. Let me get out of this. Okay. So now, oh, the other thing that we need to do, we need to keep remembering, like, what is the project, what are the project requirements? We need to be building unit tests. And we also need to be documenting all of our API endpoints with Swagger. Okay, so we need to, I need to keep remembering all of the different project requirements for this project. Okay, so, but let's just keep looking at the database right now, and then later we'll do that. So in source main resources application properties. Okay, so in our application properties, which is here, okay, I put this MongoDB. Okay. So now I think what this is doing is I need to create this database here, and it's going to live at this location. So I need to create it on my local machine, okay, which I haven't done yet. So we'll need to do that. Okay, if you're using MongoDB or need to authenticate, Spring, I don't know what this is. So can you tell me what this is needed for? Which situation would I need it? Okay, so I think it's like if I actually have a password, but or is it if it's in the cloud? I'm not sure. So that's why I'm asking. Create a model. So now we need to actually create models. Okay. Right. Okay. So there's a lot going on. First, let's try to get something to actually work, and then we'll go back and document collection equals supplies. And then we'll investigate it. So create a model. This should probably go in my models, right? I mean, I would assume. So I'm gonna come here, I'm gonna create a new one, and I'm gonna say, oh, what do we say that we wanted it? Supply. So supply.java. Kind of like this, okay? And then paste that in there, and public class supply here, and then we can delete these, okay? And this should be lowercase, or I can just make this uppercase. Supply. Okay. All right, so as of right now, we need to actually implement this a little bit more, but I'm trying to just get the structure of what it's saying to do here. Then create a repository inventory. Oh, okay. Number 2, where should I put all of those files which you told me to create? Okay. And then a controller, again, I'm assuming that's going to be in the controller, and then based off of the class, I can understand where, or like what I need to name it, but I'll just do that. And then controller interface, so I'm guessing this will be in controller, and then I'll have a serve, create a controller, what's the other one? Repository interface. I don't have one for interface. Maybe a repository? Okay. Model, controller, repository. So supply repository. I just created this one. Supply.java, which is in model. Supply Java, which is in model, okay? And then I need to do this one, controller, so supply controller.java is going to be in controller. So supply controller is going to be this one. Okay. And then public class supply controller is there, so I can delete this. And we should be good, but we're not. So, because we don't have supply repository, so I need to create that. Makes sense. Which is going to be that one right there. Supply repository here, which is in repository. Okay. All right. So now, what's going on? Mongo repository. I think I need to import this, right? So like for this, don't I need to actually import this supply repository? Yeah. Repository. Well, it has this Mongo repository, which I don't know what that's doing. Okay, so that got rid of that error. And this also went away. So supply Java, this one. Okay. So now I added a whole bunch of different files. I have no idea what they're doing. I'll probably need to go and investigate that. I also know that I need to actually create a database, a MongoDB database. So let me come and come here. Now that I also need to actually create the MongoDB database on my local machine, right? How do I do this? Okay. And then once we'll keep investigating this until we understand what's going on with this a little bit more, and then we can keep moving forward with continuing on the getting the actual implementation of everything done. Okay, so download MongoDB community server. I think I already have it downloaded. During installation, select this. Okay. Start the daemon, right? So let's try that. Mongo. Come on. Okay, whatever. Mongo daemon. Woo. Okay. Well, it didn't like it. So maybe I don't have it installed. Okay. How can I determine if I already have MongoDB installed on my Mac? Okay, that's the first question. And then so it is installed, okay. Okay. Okay, let me copy paste these ones. Into here. So MongoDB isn't listening. So brew services start. So I need to start the server first. Okay, let's try it. Or MongoDB. So it's started. Now I might be able to do this like shell. Okay. So now, okay. So now I'm in the MongoDB, like, not the database, but like the database controller, I think. And using MongoDB and then test, which is what we see right there. It is working, and I am in the shell. How do I set it up so that I can connect with the Java files you gave me? Okay. So I don't have that dependency, and it didn't tell me to do that. It's kind of strange. Okay. Well, hold up. Like, it's not what it was telling me to do initially. Have this. Where should all of those files go? Okay. Now I need something called Mongo app. Okay. Mongo connection.java, and this needs to be in Mongo app under this. So it's a new folder called Mongo app. Wait, did I say folder or what? Delete. Okay. Now inside of here, create a file called this, Mongo connection. And now Mongo connection is this. Okay. And now this needs to go in my Palm. Oh, I don't like, or not Palm, but application properties. I don't like that I'm adding so many random stuff that I have no idea. And I needed to add this dependency to this. It goes into my Palm. Wait, hold on. Okay. But I also noticed that I have not actually created any database though. Okay. I have not created a database yet on my local machine. I am in the Mongo shell. Okay. My database switches the database. Okay. So I'm just gonna try this show DBS. So I have this, but I want something which is like items or something. Show collections. How do I? So can I do use? Okay, and then what do we want to call it? The name needs to match, I would assume. So I'll have to look in. I'll have to look in here for like, what did I even call it, right? Producer resource? No. Supply database. Okay. So let me come here, supply database, okay. Press that. And now db dot my collection dot insert one So now I'm gonna say, I don't know, what do we want to insert? So item, it's gonna have a name of and this can be any kind of item, right? So let's just say like eggs. Okay. And amount is equal to 1. Okay. All right. So now, can I do this show DBS? And now I have this supply database here. And I should be able to do show collections. And I have my collection, which is what I created up there. Okay. there's definitely a lot to process, like what's going on here. So I have my database, which is called supply database, right? And then I have this something called my collections, and inside of my collections, I created an object or like a I inserted eggs. Okay. Okay. What would happen if I don't think this is gonna work, but let's just see what happens. Yeah, okay. Okay. So what is going on? Why? I just added so many random files, but I have no idea what those were doing. And now I'm okay. Let's just see if I can copy and paste this. Might even be too large, but we'll see. Yeah. Still too large, yeah. Class path problem. You're using MongoDB driver sync, but it's dependent on another internal module that's not included by default, specifically this one. How to fix it? Just add that. Driver core. Okay, fine. Application property. Where's my palm? Okay, let's try this. Paste this one in and oops. Yes. Okay, let's just run it again. Well, I didn't get an error. Okay, so now the next step is, okay, well, I got it to compile, but number one, my understanding is like non-existent right now. So I need to be able to actually go in and look and try to figure out, like, okay, well, what did I even put in there? How is it working? What's going on? So that's going to be a huge task that I need to investigate. Okay. The other thing that I need to do is I need to figure out how can I test it that it's actually working and that I can add something to the database. I think I have an idea, a general idea of how I can move forward in that. Once I understand, let me move this over. Once I understand how these different things are working, I can then attempt to figure out which one adds to the database. I can create an API endpoint for adding, and then from that I attempt to add something and then check my database in the shell, what I just did, the shell, which was like show collections, and see if I see that item that I added. I think that's the way that I'll go forward with that. The other thing is I need to figure out like how to do the unit, what should I be doing with the unit tests, and what should I be doing with the Swagger and all of that. So I'm just gonna see what it says for a unit test. I want to be able to do unit tests while I am developing. How would you suggest I do these? Okay. I don't want to do too much at the same time though. It's more of like keeping your variables consistent. Unit testing MongoDB. Use an embedded MongoDB for testing. Okay. So Makito, I know this one. Scope is in test. Okay. There's a lot going on. Let me actually, hold on. Let me get status, get add all, get commit. Currently attempting to add a MongoDB database to my project for the tracking of what? Of supply items. Currently, project compiles, but I need further investigation to determine if functional is actually working. So furthermore, I need to investigate. I'll just say that. Git push origin main. Okay, cool. So we reached a save point. What does it say this? Oh, it just doesn't like that I have this. Okay, whatever, that's fine. All right, let me see. Let's, I think right now what I'm gonna do is I got to this point. I'm gonna go and watch a couple videos on Java and connecting to a MongoDB, see how they're doing it, and kind of get an idea about that, and then maybe come back and work through things and look through all of this code that we put in there, like what is all of this, and try to understand it a little bit more. That's how I think I'm going to move forward with this right here. Once I understand what's going on here, then I can start to try to test the functionality, like, is this actually working? Okay, and then from that we can start changing the functionality to be what we need for the actual project. So that's kind of the outline of how I want to move forward with this. So there we go. Awesome. Cool. We are on the right path, I feel. We're moving forward. So thank you to everyone for watching this video. If you liked it, subscribe. That would be awesome. I would love to have you around and move forward with this project. And yeah, I will keep you updated. Yeah, anyways, have a wonderful rest of the day. My name is Timothy Lee Grant, and goodbye.